our first matchup is going to be NaVi versus Acend, and this is going to be kind of like a little bit of a revenge battle here, so to speak. And Clutch, talk to me about the mentality coming into this one. If you are NaVi, if you are respectful on the side of Acend, you know, how does this kind of go?
Yeah, if you're NaVi, I mean, this is another massive opportunity to show why you picked up zMightys. You got another week of practice with them. Apparently, it's been going better than what we saw in the last Pro Series, and they're going to need to play better in order to produce some results that these guys kind of have come to expect throughout their careers. So very excited for potentially what I would say is the NaVi a revenge tour, right? And then I think that NaVi needs to come out swinging. They need to make statements, especially coming into Valencia. You don't want to come in on a low. You want to come in with your stock rising. And that's exactly where we can put this conversation over towards Acend and what Respectful has been able to do after being dropped by NaVi, after being called the problem from the NaVi side, being released, found himself on Online Warriors, played an absolute monster of a performance last tournament. Because of it, look at him now. He's on Acend. Stock is an all-time high, and Respectful. I mean, if you had asked him a month ago what was going to happen to him when NaVi released him, he probably was pretty low, but I would have to say he's feeling pretty good right now.
Yeah, he definitely is feeling a lot better than he did after last week. So incredible stuff from Respectful. I'm excited to see how this one actually does pan out. It's actually over to game though, gentlemen. We've got Clutch and Gaskin on the mic, so please take it away.
All right, Daniel. How to kick off the EU Pro Series, NaVi, Acend. Usually you'd have been talking about the grand finals when you talk about these two teams meeting up over in the EU scene, but things have shaken up a little bit over the past few months. Quadrant, they're on the rise. They took in the throne. And it's going to be up to Acend to show us what they're capable of now with the team change. Was it worth it? Was it dropping Shady the right play? I think that this is going to be their first real test as we get into game one.
And not always are you going to see instant results. We know that. I mean, the Online Warriors previously, they had an amazing week, and Respectful, it's probably very difficult for him to make that decision to leave a team that had so much success instantly. But I think with what's on the line with Acend, it being, you know, a sponsor that's going to be securing you some extra money, a chance to be on the top team in Europe, it was definitely the right decision. And I'm sure that the rest of the Online Warriors would have understood that. But for NaVi, again, they have to play against Respectful on another roster. And they're probably thinking, look, where is this kid going to keep ending up? Maybe he's going to be somewhere on a different team next week. You've just got to focus on the task at hand. Get as far as you can in these tournaments.
Yeah, you definitely want revenge on what Respectful was able to do to you last week if you're NaVi. So this would be a nice statement win for them. You know, they want to beat this Acend roster, and this is just a little bit of an extra amount of want from them now that Respectful is on the roster. And we're going to be hopping on board with Respectful. Great damage so far. One-on-one against 2Foxy, and 2Foxy makes a statement with a 1v1 win of his own.
And so we have seen these two teams scrimming quite a lot in the last few days. And that's allowed us to get a little bit of an indication as to who's kind of leading the charge. Acend have been getting the better of NaVi in the majority of games, but there has been a few here or there where NaVi have been able to pick up some maps. And that leads me to believe that NaVi know what they're doing on most. But Catalyst Capture the Flag is one that has gone in favor of Acend when they were scrimming. And already, Lqgend is moving a flag.
I'm going to talk about one of the monster players over in the EU scene. Lqgend, 4 kills, sword in hand, make it a flag as well. He's got it across halfway. Barely even touched. Can't quite hit the jump, but fortunate for him, there's 2 routes to get there, and he's going to be able to take this low route. There are 3 members of NaVi to try and deal with here. Respectful is able to get one before being taken down, so it's a 3v3 situation. And all of a sudden, Lqgend, having to deal with a player in his face, chooses not to pull out the sword, but somehow that player gets turned around, and Kimbo, he gets assassinated. It turns onto a 2v2. The flag gets pulled. It's a stalemate, and 2Foxy gets the kill that you would think gets the return, but Respectful coming off spawn, able to get that finish, able to potentially have the return. And this is looking like an Acend opportunity to jump out to an early lead.
But at least that flag was able to get into a position where NaVi could watch it. Kimbo still being able to turn it. Has to win this fight, though. Snipedrone doing very well to stop him and force him back. But NaVi are relentless with their pressure. Acend just need to get a couple of kills to really stop this, get the re. Otherwise, this is going to be a case of just bombardment from NaVi off spawn.
Yeah, you'd have to think that eventually Acend's going to get this return, especially as they gain a few numbers. And there it is. First cap on the board. Overshield. It's getting thrown off the map by Jimbo. That was a good play by him to at least get it off the map, knowing how much pressure Respectful was applying there. But unfortunately for NaVi, just not enough slaying power there in the base of Acend to get that return. And because of it, it's early, but they've already found themselves down.
So when they scrimmed, it was only a 2-1 victory in favor of Acend. So that gives you an idea of how difficult it has been for these two teams to score flags against each other. Yes, scrim is different than a competitive environment, but it always gives us a rough indication of how things are working. At the start, NaVi, they just struggled a little bit with getting their footing. Acend got control of the map, but now with 2 dead on the Acend side, if Sica dies, then NaVi have a really good chance to run this flag.
Sica, I thought that first kill was a big one. The second one would have been massive to try and stop this counter cap opportunity from NaVi. NaVi, though, they get the slays, they take down Sica, and because of it, Jimbo's going to tie this one up here. Now they need to be careful. Lqgend picks up 2 as soon as the flag is capped. Look at that. He has 2 players in his reticle as well. He's got the information of where the last 2 members of NaVi are, and Lqgend chooses to run the flag towards the right. This is a phenomenal run by Lqgend after picking up those first 2. He's not even scathed as he crosses halfway, gets it into his base, and it doesn't look like NaVi's going to be able to stop this counter cap opportunity, but a good brute grenade placement will slow it down for now. Unfortunately, slays continue to come through, and Acend do what they do best. They kill you before they play the objective, and that being said, it's going to be a 2-1 lead once again for Acend.
And just when I was saying it's going to be difficult for them to capture those flags, suddenly we've already had 3 captured in the opening 4 minutes. But maybe it's going to be a bit of a standoff, a bit of a stalemate now. With the pace we've seen both of these teams playing, I'm not sure that is actually going to happen. Catalyst capture the flag, very difficult to play. It's so fast-paced. It's so difficult to try and navigate some of these avenues you have to take to get into good positions. But certainly is an enjoyable watch from a point of view of either a commentator or just a viewer at home. As a player, though, it can be sometimes so difficult to keep up with the action and the pace of the game.
Something we need to start talking about here as we get into the second Pro Series since Catalyst has come out is the opportunity for players to start to master how they want to run flags, how they want to rotate, and that's something that we're going to start seeing, Dan, is more successful flag capture. Overshield, it's removed. Kimbo immediately puts the skewer to use on the Lqgend. Legend's actually the player that gave him that skewer earlier in this combat loop, and because of it, that overshield, it's negated, and now both flags actually being pulled here. Legend's got a big decision to make, however, because he wants to impact this return as well, and that's exactly what he's going to do. He's going to lead the flag for respawners. Unfortunately, he's going to meet himself a Jimbo and a Kimbo. He's got the Jimbo down, but unfortunately going to have to back down for now. Wisely, Lqgend picking up that kill will stagger the amount of pressure NaVi's able to apply, and now Legend's applying some pressure of his own.
And you're speaking about flag runs. I mean, we originally were seeing some top middle runs attempted, but I don't think they're even thought about anymore. It's very much ran towards either gold or ivy for that little bit of extra cover, because you know it's very difficult to get all 4 dead and then move a flag at the same time. Instead, with Catalyst, you really need to be running that flag when a couple are dead, get them on spawn, and then hope you're able to take that fight once they do arrive into your base, because it's so quick and easy to overextend. You really have to be prepared to fight once you get that flag back to your own base.
It's something we're going to start seeing a lot of as counter caps, I think, on this map is you can get the flag, but at what cost? The flag, it gets returned, and unfortunately, Jimbo, his flag gets returned as well, so no harm, no foul. Stays 2-1 for Acend, and it looks like Jimbo's going to be able to get that flag on the move for now, and that's actually a great start for NaVi to try and tie this one up. He's going to try and turn around, but unfortunately, Lqgend is still hot at 12, 4, and 7 right now. Takes down Jimbo, and he's going to have something to say about that flag run. Meanwhile, Sica on the other side of the map, once again, a counter pull from Acend. We'll see who's able to benefit from this stalemate.
Foxy's got a big kill onto Lqgend, which will allow him to just anchor here in this position. Has sword, could fight for the triple as well, but Snipedrone should back down. Everyone facing him at the moment, and as you said, Overshield just gets whisked away right in front of his very eyes.
And the return's coming in. That Overshield's worth its money in the objective. Sica able to up that return, and because of it, Lqgend's there to punch that one in. And unfortunately for 2 Foxy, you need to figure out a way to either do one or the other. You got to get the return, or you got to protect the flag from being returned. Unfortunately, 2 Foxy, just too much in his hands right there after he picked up that double. The 3rd and 4th players, just too much pressure for him. He leaves that flag, and now Acend up 2 flag caps.
Gives them that little bit of cushion now. It's going to force NaVi to have to get a little bit more aggressive, try and get a few more flag pulls, but hasn't really worked out for them when they've been the ones to pull it first. These counter caps have really benefited both teams, and it almost questions, should you be on the defensive a little bit initially? Maybe allow a flag to be pulled at times? It's very difficult to play that way, but there is always going to be these metas evolving as we go on with Catalyst and how people choose to try and play the game, but it's going to be consistent aggression from Acend as Respectful pulls another flag.
Yeah, look at this. It's Respectful and the boys are running it towards the respawners of NaVi, and with that, they find 2 kills. Unfortunately, the flag spawns come through. That's an easy kill on Respectful, but they don't see Lqgend. They don't see Lqgend, and Legend's found too. He gets the sword as well, and because of that, now the flag once again on the move, and the last two players of NaVi are going to have to take down 4 members of Acend to try and get this return. And if they don't, they're going to be down 4-1. And even if they do, is it going to be in time? The answer is no. Sica picks up a kill on the Kimbo. Snipedrone punches that flag in, and now all of a sudden, this is a very lopsided affair here in game 1.
What a play from Lqgend, though, just using that corner just at the top of ramp to hide away, hoping that they weren't going to see him. They didn't, and he took full advantage of it. A big double kill from behind, allowed the flag to keep running. Killing spree now for the man who we were just talking about. He's up to 18 kills, and he's looking for more as that flag is moving again. 2 members down from NaVi. Overshield about to pop. It's looking all Acend right now.
Yeah, looking for this overshield. Actually about to be able to stack sword ammo. Not often you're able to say that in competitive play, but can't quite get there. That's a big kill from the NaVi side, but unfortunately, I do believe their flag is once again on the move, and they need to stop this one because this is the 5th and final cap. If they want this game to potentially go a little bit longer, they're gonna have to get this return. They do get a flag pool of their own. Multiple members of NaVi kind of stuck top middle here. Not a position you really want to be in. Respectful, he finds one, pulls out the sword. The second one, Snipedrone kills too quickly for Respectful to find himself a double, but the flag's still making its way across the map in Jimbo's hands here. He's got a little bit of pressure on him, but he needs to deal with this pressure if he wants this game to extend.
Yeah, Jimbo has to survive. He's got to take down Lqgend first, but he's going to have to back off. Respectful has a sword at the very least, so maybe NaVi can keep this one alive, and Respectful could try and jump in, but unfortunately, with him going down, maybe Acend might be able to let this one slip, and NaVi might be able to put one in themselves. Difficult, but Kimbo's got to make the return.
It's only the first game of our broadcast, but you can tell very quickly Respectful still on the revenge tour. 22, 16, and 14. Most. Not necessarily the best thing to have the most deaths, but Respectful, just his impact. You can tell it's being felt throughout the match. 4-1 still Acend with this stalemate in hand. Every second this clock ticks is going to benefit Acend because NaVi, they got to figure out a way to get 3 caps or this one's over.
It's funny because when Respectful had sword, my brain was thinking NaVi had the sword, but then I remembered, oh no, he's on Acend, don't worry. And you would have been so used to seeing Respectful playing alongside these boys, and he knows how they play as well. Think about how that's going to help you as a player, knowing those tendencies, knowing which corners they are likely to be taking and how they're going to face certain angles as well. Respectful really does seem to have the number of NaVi at the moment. A couple of players struggling on the other side. Kimbo and zMightys haven't been able to necessarily find their footing in the game. With only 2 minutes left and it's still a 3 flag difference, everything is looking on the side of Acend for sure.
A little bit of an aggressive push there as Overshield was coming up. I wanted to see if Respectful was going to choose to grapple it to himself. He chooses to push, unfortunately loses his life, and this is probably the first Overshield of the game going into NaVi's hands, I'd say. At least the first one I can remember, Dan, and we'll see what Jimbo is able to do with this Overshield. Snipedrone, he's knocked down to no shields. Sica, that's good information. Great damage from Jimbo. He's going to be aggressive, and if they can get this return, they can potentially get a double cap, maybe make this story interesting, but you got to take down Respectful first, and unfortunately can't quite hit that headshot. Meanwhile, across the map, it doesn't look like 2 Foxy's going to be able to punch this one in right away because respawners, they've overextended for Acend.
It's a return. Yeah, we've seen this 2 or 3 times now happen between the 2 teams, and it happens very often on Catalyst. Both flags get out, both flags get fought for. You finally get the return, but unfortunately there wasn't enough protection on your own flag at the same time. Instead, now Acend, they're going to be in a position where they can just play defensive. Only 1 minute left. Even though you can cap flags very quickly here on Catalyst, I doubt it's going to be quick enough here for NaVi.
Yeah, I think Respectful finding himself a new home on Acend, looking great so far. Shady, I'm sorry, bud, but looks like Respectful, he's going to use this opportunity to make statements here in the EU scene. Respectful 28, 17, and 18. A great performance here in game 1. 35 seconds to see what other stats he can kind of build up here because a 5th cap, it's not necessary. NaVi, they're sitting ducks waiting for game 2 to try and rebound here.
And I do think overall the change is going to help both teams. It's going to help both sides of the story. NaVi are probably going to be better without Respectful just because the playstyles didn't really connect. And Respectful is going to have a far better time joining the likes of Acend. And I do think that both of these teams could be a force as they move forward when we look to LANs and when we look to, of course, going to international competition. But with the seconds ticking out, that will be confirmation. Acend take game 1 4-1 here on Catalyst. And of course, this is going to be a tough one for NaVi to get back into.
I'm not so sure about this NaVi roster being better off without Respectful. Nothing I don't remember the last game we watched Respectful not go off in, and I know we've seen an entire pro series. We've only seen game one of this one, but I mean, something about Respectful so far has looked like he may be the best player in this region. And I know that that was conversations back in the day in Halo 5. Well, I think conversations are going to start spinning up around that again if he continues to put up the numbers that he's putting up. 28, 19, 17, an absolute monster performance against his old team. And NaVi, Dan, you said they may be able to, both sides may be able to benefit from the decision of releasing Respectful a few weeks ago. I'm not sold. I haven't seen anything from NaVi that would show me that they have that potential to end up on the better foot without the superstar that Respectful is seeming to be.
To be honest, though, Respectful never looked like that superstar on NaVi. Maybe he's the one who's benefiting most out of this, because we didn't see these numbers from him when he was playing on the NaVi roster. It's almost like he has, you know, had those shackles taken off him, playing in a play style maybe that he was uncomfortable with when he was on NaVi. And I'm just hoping that NaVi find their footing with Mighty, because he fits their playstyle a little bit better, or he's going to listen maybe a little bit more than what Respectful actually did previously on that roster. And you're right, it hasn't looked, you know, crazily good to start with, but I think this is a long-term plan for them. I think they're looking at tournaments a little bit further ahead and maybe aren't expecting instant success, whereas with Acend, when you take the greatest European team and you make a change and you add a player who can play at a very similar style and pace to them as Respectful, who has that individuality. He's been kind of hibernating, waiting for this opportunity to play the game he wants to, and he has been showing up in these last couple of weeks. I'm very impressed with Respectful, as you clearly are as well, with what we've been saying. So I think he's got those plaudits on his side now. He's recognized as one of the best players in Europe. And now you just need to tie it all together with Acend. You need to go that step further. You need to regain your crown, your throne at the top of Europe.
And I mean, no disrespect by the statements that I'll probably follow this up with, but from the NaVi side and saying, hey, it might take some time for us to gel and whatnot. Typically, I agree with that idea of like, this is a direction that this team can go in, and this can be a healthy mindset moving forward in order to kind of subset any pain that you feel towards the start of your team and how you're trying to like build from the foundation. But at what point do you start to get nervous? At what point do you start to question the system? There's always the trust the process. We have a team here in the NBA in America. It's called the 76ers, and they're saying it's trust the process. Well, guess what? The process never won a championship, and they've ended up starting to ship players from like their master plan of building this roster from the ground up over time. I'm worried that it's going to be something like similar with NaVi, where we're going to sit here and say, hey, in due time, in due time, in due time. Well, time's ticking, Worlds is coming, and teams are getting better and better. Acend looks like they may have even improved with the numbers that we just saw from Respectful. Quadrant, they've looked good as ever. And NaVi, we expect them to be in that conversation. They have been so far out of that conversation for a long time now.
They have, yeah. I mean, your points are all valid. Very correct as well. I think NaVi will be as frustrated as anyone with how these performances have gone, even with those changes. If you're Mighty, you're probably quaking in your boots a little bit, because if there isn't instant success, of course, fingers are going to be pointing your way from everyone else, if not the players. And there's also going to be frustration from, you know, the likes of Jimbo, Kimbo, Foxy, who are looking at those who are at the top of Europe where they want to be, and they're saying, look, are we ever going to get there? Is this team the right place to be? And I'm still going to give them a little bit more time. I still think that maybe there is something still in this roster, but we'll have to wait. Valencia is going to be the key one for me when we get to LAN, when we get to competition that isn't based online. But for now, it's just about practice, sticking together, and making sure you're working on some of these flaws. As for Acend, you're bloody right. They look incredible with Respectful, and I think they'll be delighted with the change they've made. Yeah,
for me, it's almost like, all right, if you're NaVi and you believe in the players, but you were preaching about maybe like Respectful's play style not fitting yours. Well, at some point, maybe changing the play style up, maybe trying to speed it up a little bit could be exactly what the doctor ordered to get some success. I know scrims have been going in a fairly different direction than what the tournament results would show, so maybe it's just a matter of producing there. But jumping into game 2, Snipedrone with a nice shot of the Stalker rifle. Can't quite take down zMightys, though, and that's an early lead for NaVi. So erased everything I said about the process. If they're able to turn this series around and potentially win it, they are still in this competing. And they've jumped out to a 5-3 lead. Unfortunately, Respectful, he's able to find that second rocket, and he could divide that by 2 here as He's able to pick up 1 kill there, and 5-4 now, and it looks like Acend has a little bit of map control behind it.
And whilst they didn't play Street Slayer in their most recent scrim, they did play Street Strongholds, which went in favor of NaVi. And sometimes I say that Street Strongholds is basically just a big Slayer game. You just need to make sure you focus the objective afterwards. With all 4 dead, Acend have responded well to that early start from NaVi, regain the lead and regain control of this map. And NaVi off spawn are going to have to try and work out how to take it back from Acend.
All right. Here comes the push. Lqgend and Respectful. What kind of teamwork does this duo have? Unfortunately, it's just a trade. Sica picks up 1 as well. Nice thrust to the side from Lqgend. Can he get the kill with the Sentinel beam? The answer is yes, but Jimbo does a good job to clean that one up, so I like what we're seeing out of NaVi. In order to clean a lot of these kills up, keep this game close for now. They haven't really had a ton of map control ever since that opening break. Just a 2-kill game here still. And it looks like finally they do have a little bit of map control to work with, but unfortunately they lose zMightys. Jimbo's answering it, but Sica finds one of his own as well to once again continue Ascend's opportunity.
And I think Acend have to win this game. Looking at the series layout, looking at what the third map is, it's Recharge Strongholds. And NaVi have won both Recharge games that they scrimmed against Acend. And typically, NaVi struggled on Recharge when Respectful was on that lineup. So was Respectful the problem there? Is Respectful going to be also an issue for Acend when it gets to Recharge? That remains to be seen. But I would say that Acend have to win this game. Can't allow it to go to the third map because Recharge has looked pretty good for NaVi ever since they introduced zMightys.
We'll see if they can get there. It's the big question. 17-14 now. Respectful with the second set of rockets. He had the first. Off the ground, the second. He puts to work, finds himself a double kill, extends the lead to 4. And Respectful, something that he did last week, Dan, that really impressed me was he had that Demon D-esque, that Renegade-esque playstyle where it seems like every single power weapon, it ends up in your hands. Usually when you're able to provide that to your team, not only is your team not playing against power weapons, but if you can put those to use, you just create so much opportunity. Respectful at 8, 4, and 5, creating a lot of opportunity here for his team. But NaVi, at the meantime, they've had a successful push over towards the PD area. They've found a few unanswered kills. They've made it just a 2-kill game once again.
Good to get on Mighty's point of view because he's got 10 kills at the moment. He's leading the charge in slays for his team. Has to back away from that fight, but cannot do so. Acend get 3 dead. Kimbo still yet to find a kill, but 4 assists on both him and Foxy's scoreboard. So maybe it's just been a bit of a team work orientated map so far for the NaVi roster. I think that Acend here, they'll be comfortable with a 4-kill lead, but you've certainly just got to be very aware that this can very quickly turn around if power weapons do go in the hands of NaVi. And I think you're right. When you look at Respectful, you look at what he does. I mean, half the time on this map, I see him Stalker rifle in hand and an assault rifle in the back pocket. And I just have flashbacks to Halo 5 and how he used to play. And he's at his comfort zone using some of these automatic weapons and some of these very powerful 3-shot weapons as well in that Stalker rifle. So it is amazing putting him on this map and what he can do with the weapons that are available to him.
Rockets going to be the focus coming up here for both these teams. A great job by Jimbo to stay alive in PD there as he was one shot. And, you know, Acend wanted to take him down. The battle for rockets has gone down. It looks like zMightys in the kill feed has found himself that power weapon. Although he was forced to probably take himself down in that kill, at least you're getting it out of the hands of Respectful. And look at that being used against Respectful now from the hands of 2 Foxy. So it was Overshield and Skewer and Sword typically in the hands of Game 1 and in the hands of Acend. And now with a little bit of rocket control, it's almost just a tie game here for NaVi. Prioritization on power-ups and power weapons are going to do you a lot of good here when you're trying to beat a team like Acend. They've done a much better job here in Game 2, and because of it, just a 1-kill game as we enter the 30-kill mark.
Can they isolate Lqgend here? That's the question. Or is he going to play the perfect decoy to allow the rest of Acend to sneak up on the NaVi roster? It looks like maybe he's pushed them away far enough that now Acend can make their push. And here comes Snipedrone, and he will finish everything. Trust me, when you're watching Snipedrone's POV, he listens so well, considering that he doesn't seem to speak the same language as 2 of his teammates. He's always there responding to those call-outs as he gets back-to-back doubles.
Yeah, back-to-back doubles. Everybody was weak and make it a triple. Can he get the overkill? He does that. It's an overkill for Snipedrone. Can he find the kill tech? Good damage, but I mean, look at how Snipedrone works. Look at his ability to transition from kill to kill to kill to kill to kill to kill as he picks up 6 quick ones right there on screen. 15, 4, and 6 now. Snipedrone has blown this game wide open for Acend, now up 7.
I really think Respectful being added to this roster. We've seen Respectful plus Snipedrone before, and it is a deadly combo. It works well. They don't necessarily have to be next to each other on the map, but with the way that how aggressive Respectful can be and how Snipedrone can just finish those kills, suddenly there's a lot of one-shots that don't get away, and it is a very scary factor if you are on the opposition team. And suddenly this game is 44-34. It was close at one point, but it looks like Acend are going to close out this series unless NaVi have a miraculous comeback.
Yeah, Rockets are coming up too, and Acend in the entire control of the map. They don't even care about Rockets, it appears, as they're trying to push into PD or into Tram here. They're going to be able to take down 2 Foxy, flip the map completely on the NaVi. And although they do pick up a crucial kill on the Snipedrone, it's going to be just 2 more needed from the boys in blue here as they look to close this one out, continue the Respectful revenge tour, and that's going to do it. The Bulldog shotgun from Respectful, 15, 10, and 12. A Snipedrone right there with 16 of his own, and Acend have taken down NaVi. Again, clearly a difference between these two teams as of yet. We'll have to see how NaVi can respond to the elimination bracket later on.
I will put an asterisk next to it and say it's a best of 3. Game types maybe didn't go in favor of NaVi, although a lot of game types do go in favor of Acend. And maybe we'll see what happens if they match up again in this tournament. But certainly Acend looked very comfortable. Snipedrone looked unbelievable there. He had a double kill and then had an overkill, very close to being far more in terms of chaining kills together. It was just a few seconds away. Good performance from zMightys in terms of how many kills he was able to get, but at the same time, 14 deaths, it kind of evens out on that side. But Snipedrone will be more than happy with how he has approached that game, with how he's been able to finish those kills. And
yeah,
he's got the damage alongside it, right? Even though it looked like that was the easiest overkill of someone's life, he's actually outputting so much damage with 4.3k, and I think he'll be delighted with that one.
Snipedrone showing you a little bit of his potential there with 16, but I'm gonna get my eraser out, Dan, and I'm gonna erase the asterisk you put on there. The best of 3 just saves us a little bit of time as viewers, because I mean, this Acend team, they looked on, and taking a look at the total scores for those last 2 games, Dan, I mean, they were not close. Acend cruised through this series. If there was a game 3, you could probably bet your bottom dollar that a similar story was going to happen. NaVi, if they want to change things around, Dan, what is something that they're going to be able to do here today? I'm talking like in the short term that can potentially give them a little bit of success moving forward, because their tournament is not over. They get bounced to the elimination bracket, and these guys have been there before. They've gone on runs before, but they're going to need to do it here and now in order to really show some potential promise with the pickup of zMightys and where their direction is headed as an org.
It's difficult because I want to see all these European teams succeed, and you know, I've been friends with a lot of them for years now, but I think that Kimbo looked a little bit lost at times, not necessarily playing with the team in the right way. It's difficult from some of the POVs that you're seeing, but certainly just like judging by kill feed and judging by opposing POVs at times, Kimbo was an easy kill. And I just think that he needs to be on the same page. There needs to be a discussion there to make sure that he's playing alongside the likes of Foxy, the likes of Jimbo, or we go down your avenue, your route of saying maybe that we need to see NaVi playing a little bit quicker. Maybe this like strategy and the structure isn't working out for them, and maybe they need to play a little bit more like Respectful was doing. But it's another 2-0, it's another Acend victory, and they find themselves back in the top 3.